The following content is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition.
You're listening to the Everyday Therapy Podcast. I'm JC Rader, this is Julianne Schroeder, and we're therapists having open conversations around emotional wellness. For more information on our community events, counseling, or online services, contact us at everydaytherapypodcast.com. And also, we're on iTunes. Please give us a rate and review.
We'd love you forever.
Forever.
We love you anyways, but we'd love you more.
Yes. And shall we talk about our sponsors today? We have new sponsors.
Yes, I'm so excited and thankful for them.
Yes, yeah. And it's a company that I really love.
Yeah.
And have been a part of. I refer all my clients to them. So it's Lifeology, which is a group practice of counselors. So about 30 different counselors, tons of locations: Dallas, Park Cities, Fort Worth, Richardson, Plano, Frisco, Oak Cliff, Austin.
They're like everywhere.
Yeah. So, I think that that's really cool to be all spread out because people know where to go. You know, they have like a hub to find help.
Yeah. And when there's a lot of, I guess, barriers to seeking therapy, to have it convenient and somewhere in your neighborhood is important.
Absolutely. Yeah. So their motto is creative solutions to stuck problems. How cute is that?
Yeah, so catchy.
I love it. And they only hire creative therapists, which I think is really cool. And they all meet for 3 hours each week, and they collaborate, they treatment plan, they case conceptualize. So you have a whole team of therapists kind of working for you on it.
But you're only paying for one.
Right.
So.
And they have a variety of different issues that they talk about, that they have different specialists for. So anxiety, trichotillomania, depression, anything you have.
Any life issues,
Yes.
which there is a lot, right?
Yes,
yeah.
For sure. And lots of different appointments available in the morning, like early mornings, late evenings, and on weekends, all different price ranges. So we are glad that they are on here so we can share, like, if you're hearing our message and you want more support, like, this would be the place to go.
Yeah. No, absolutely. We're thankful for them. And what else that they're offering. So, creative solutions to stuck problems. And they are also really honoring the mind-body connection and in bringing, Eastern view and Western psychology together and have created a program, wait for it, the name is Lifeology Institute of Psychotherapeutic Yoga. Lispy for short.
Yeah.
So it's thelispyschool.com. JC and I both have experience going through the program.
We both trained with them. So we're yoga teachers from that program. And it's just a perfect blend of like mental, emotional information as well as the yoga training. So, and they're 200-hour certified Yoga Alliance. So you would be a registered yoga teacher to be able to teach if you wanted to, or just kind of delve into more of your own stuff.
Right. Yeah. Or bring
Education.
bring information and tools to help your clients in a different way. I believe in this program so much that
Or help yourself.
Yeah. Going on staff as well. So very thankful that Lispy is around. It's a new approach, yoga for the brain.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that too. So cool. Thank you guys so much. So WeFixBrains.com and the Lispy School. So for yoga or counseling, check them out.
Yes.
And now, shall we talk about our topic for today?
Yeah, I feel like we need a drum roll because
we've been waiting for this episode.
And our guest, who is so special and who I get to brag on for a bit and express my appreciation for, Beth Dawson is a licensed clinical social worker and highly sensitive person educator. And Beth, I have you to thank for bringing me into the world of HSP and for helping me see myself and the clients that I work with in a framework that is so helpful. And we'll get into it, and I'll share some stories. But it's really made a difference. And I think the understanding and the education piece. And so I'm so thankful that you're here to share and really look at the myths and also bring the research in and how do we survive in this world, right?
Yeah.
I'm still figuring that out.
We're all working on that. It's a life process, right? Yeah.
So, Beth, I guess, is there anything that you want to share right off the bat in terms of your credentials and how you fell into this work?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, I'm an HSP. I'm an extroverted HSP, which I'll get into the kind of the difference in that later.
Because typically, like, people are if you're highly sensitive, like, it's kind of seen as an introverted issue.
And 70% are introverts.
Okay.
So 30% are extroverts.
Okay.
But yeah, it's harder for extroverts to kind of pinpoint that they're an HSP.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So how I got into this was, and I'll just tell a personal story. I just graduated in my master's with social work, and I was looking for a supervisor for my 3,000 hours. And I would interview them, and they would reach out to my old supervisors and kind of ask about me. And they all had the same kind of comments about, well, they say you're a great clinician, but you're really sensitive. Are you sure you can do this work? And at the time, I did not know that I was a highly sensitive person. So I was like, okay, isn't that a good thing that I'm sensitive?
Yeah, but it was so much seen as a negative, even with therapists.
It was.
That's wild.
Yeah. And the last one I met with, she said, you're taking it pretty well as I'm kind of being a little bit more critical, so I think I'll be okay with working with you, even though you're so sensitive.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
backhanded compliment.
And I was like holding it in, like, I'm totally taking it well. No.
Got this. Yeah.
Inside, I was not doing okay. So I went out to my car and just bawled my eyes out and was just so kind of confused because I know I'm meant to do this.
Yeah.
And then I went online and just Googled therapy and sensitive, and Elaine Aaron, her website came up.
Who's like the lead researcher?
She's the founder. She found the trait. Yes. Okay. And I took her test. They have a self-test. And got like all of them except 2. And just was like, oh my God, this is me. Like, this has been like my gift and my challenges my whole life. And
she wrote this quiz for me.
Yeah. I was like, oh my God, that's me. That's my bio. Yeah.
How did you know?
How do you know me? Get out of my head.
What are some of the questions on there?
So, there's so many. So, there is, do you have, a lot going on, thinking about a lot of things?
A rich inner complex life.
Yes, exactly. Oh. Yes. And I was like, check. And what else? There's so many.
Yeah.
Don't like violent movies or TV, which I actually do. So
that was the one you didn't check I did off. Not check that. And,
I definitely checked that. I still to this day, you can tell people about how I watch The Bachelor and have such a response.
It's not violent.
It's not violent, but emotionally violent.
We get emotionally invested in shows big time.
Yeah. But with violent TV shows, like I'll take a blanket and like hide under it. And I like literally I have so much anxiety. Like, I can't watch this.
Yes.
I get scared watching Harry Potter.
Scary movies I can't do, but violence, I could do Walking Dead or like Breaking Bad. I'm a Breaking Bad fanatic. That's my little thing, but
that does have some violence in it.
It definitely does. Okay, but scary, I'm with you. Like Harry Potter was scary to me sometimes.
Thank you for validating
there were some things that as a kid I watched and I was like, this is too scary.
Too much.
Too much.
Yeah. So just like overstimulated.
Yeah.
Like, and super easily.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I'm just on a mission to spread this education, especially to mental health providers, because I feel like everybody should know about this, because 50% of our clients at least are HSPs, and you'll see why as we go through some stuff. But
and you said 20% of like the actual population is an highly sensitive person, and then but 50% of people that deal with mental health issues
are, because we're more affected. We just are.
Right.
You know, we're more affected by our environments, and you know, I like to point out the challenges, but also, you know, the good things, which Elaine says is vantage sensitivity. So if we're raised in a home that is more challenging or not, what would you say,
not
appreciative of our trait or sensitivity, which a lot of parents don't know. It just seems like, what's wrong with my kid? Then we have
they're a
more
handful.
Yeah, they are. They're more difficult. They can be
seen as high maintenance.
Yes, high maintenance. That's a big one.
Yeah.
So that's more difficult. But if we're raised in an environment where our sensitivity is seen as a gift, and we're allowed the time and the space to process things, then we are actually ahead of the population. So, and we're better in therapy because we have so much insight. And so, yes, it's challenging, but there's also some good things too.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I just think about our culture, like the parents that maybe aren't supportive, but even like you were finding a supervisor that was a therapist.
Yes.
Like our culture is so shaming of being like too emotional or too sensitive or so.
Which I'm glad then that Dr. Elaine Aaron, I don't know why I'm like freaking out. Can't say her name on here. But I think her validating this trait with research and
tons of research,
tons and tons of research, I think is so important in I guess combating that shame and this idea that you're just weak.
Yes.
Would you share a little bit more about her research so others can hear about that?
So before I go into a little bit, anyone can go check it out. It's hsperson.com. That's her website, and all of her research is published on there, so you can see every study she's done. But yeah, so she actually did a study where and I don't remember the number, but I want to say it's in the hundreds. She screened her clients and for being an HSP, and that's how she came up with the scale or the screening tool. But she was actually looking for what she thought was another form of introversion or something. She was like, maybe this is just introversion, but she found this is something different. This is a biological trait that 20% of the population has. And she actually, there's also a study where they studied 100 different species, and every single one from fish to flies all had the trait. 20% of the population had this trait.
I did not know that. I think that is incredible.
It's awesome.
Because you can actually see, like, I feel like a lot of the research, like, it is just more like on humans and whatnot, but to actually have that in other species and animals, like, that's,
and kind of
very
how
telling.
Yes, and she found, this is an evolutionary trait that and it's genetic, so we pass it on. But how I kind of like to look at it is, the two, like, let's just say cavemen and the non-HSP and the HSP. So the HSP has the trait, and what their kind of the evolution of their trait is supposed to do is be aware and look for just danger and just that pause to check that all HSPs have. So if there were the cavemen going out to hunt, the first caveman, the non-HSP caveman, would kind of just run outside and like, I'm going to go hunt. And then there's the HSP caveman who was like, I'm going to sit, I'm going to listen. Is there any danger? Do I hear any danger? Do I hear storms coming? Is this a good time? So they have that pause to check, which translates into childhood, or what we are seen as being shy. So if you have a highly sensitive child in a classroom, if they switch things, switch topics, they're going to take a minute before they engage.
They're cautious.
They're cautious.
Yeah.
Cautious and thorough.
And it's their trait.
Yeah.
So a lot of times they get the label. Are you shy? Are you scared? And they're not.
Yeah.
No.
And I think they studied and to bring the research into this, they looked at, these HSP versus non-HSP and where the amygdala would be activated, the fear center in the brain of the non-HSP, that wasn't there. So, but yet, I think that, society like prizing extroversion and, that just gets twisted.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on this side, that's a good one too. They did the brain studies where they scanned people's brains and showed them different pictures and saw that the amygdala was more activated in an HSP. So, yeah.
That fear center.
Yeah.
Gosh, it's so
and just
interesting.
aware. I like calling it the awareness part of the brain.
Yeah.
So they're just very aware. And HSP is going to be able to pick up your tone. That's why we make good therapists, because we know what's going on. We sense the switch in tone, or we sense the feelings that are coming up, and we can really be there, be present with our clients.
Yeah. Which whenever you describe it in that way, it's like so desirable. Like I want a sensitive therapist or a partner or a friend around me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't want you to ask me how I'm feeling. Just tell me how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Like when I come home after a stressful day, how are you? No, come on. Obviously, I'm not okay.
No. And, sometimes we can, as HSPs, we think people think like us and just know when they don't.
Just assume.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how do you not know
Emily,
this?
shout out Emily. That's my
Julian's
sister.
You're supposed to
Learning
know.
differences.
Yeah.
But I would assume that brings up challenges in partnerships and friendships.
Definitely.
Right? Actually, I think we had some feedback from our Instagram followers and wondering how to navigate that. And I don't know if we're jumping too far ahead and we want to, so you can,
Yeah. I think, so I'm an HSP, my husband's not an HSP. And there's definitely been some challenges. But there also have been some really awesome things too. So when you're in a relationship, if you have an HSP and an HSP in a relationship, they're going to have a deep connection, like this really deep, because we connect. We're connectors. We really like to connect deeply. And so but at the same time, we might be more overstimulated by each other for both HSPs. So there's pros and cons to both. And then the non-HSP, HSP couple, I had to go through a kind of a grieving process that I wasn't going to have this deep HSP connection. I mean, I still have a deep connection with my husband, but it's just not that deep connection. But there's so many other benefits. Like, he is my rock. He is strong. When we travel, like Elaine talks about her husband, Art, who's actually not an HSP as well, how, he'll go out and kind of see what's going on, give her time to rest. And it's a really good team effort.
Yeah. He brings that like rationale piece.
Yes. And he can support you in other ways.
Exactly.
Which he is supporting, by the way, in the studio.
I know that he's here right now.
Yeah. What a sweet guy.
Yeah.
So you can navigate the challenges. It seems like, though, to be able to have this awareness of what each can offer.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to that grief process, once I went through that and realized, there's so many good things about not being an HSP, just as much as there is about being an HSP. And then
it's neither good nor bad.
Exactly.
It just is.
Right.
Although accept it.
Yeah.
And
yes. Although in circles of HSPs, we do some non-HSP bashing, I'm just going to say.
Just like probably non-HSPs, they don't know that they're doing the bashing.
Yes, exactly.
My brother's always like, you're just so emotional. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes. So, yeah. But, and then in relationships, going back to that question on Instagram, I think it's the more you know yourself as an HSP, the more you're going to be secure in yourself as a sensitive person and be able to navigate those relationships. So what helped me the most was really diving into accepting myself as a sensitive person. And then that made me accept other people as not highly sensitive. And I was more open-minded to them, and then in return they're more open-minded to me.
Yeah.
And also, I know as therapists we talk about this a lot, but boundaries are huge, and especially for HSPs, because non-HSPs aren't going to know our boundaries. They're not going to understand them, especially at first, and they're going to look different as you might get you're high maintenance, you're emotional, and why do you need so much time to make a decision or whatever? But we do, and that's what I need. And so once I just started doing that, then the other people who don't understand, they started to follow my lead.
Yeah.
And there wasn't as much conflict, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like being able to acknowledge that you're an HSP, like know what the traits are and kind of honor that within yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Then other people can honor that as well, or you can ask for what you need.
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
that like expectation within relationships.
Right.
Which of course there's resentment there with that. What are like some of the traits
Yes.
for HSP?
So that's a good one. So as a therapist, I do use the screening test, but I really use this more. And this is the acronym that kind of describes the characteristics of being an HSP, and it's DOES. So it's the acronym DOES. And the first one is depth of processing, and that's
What
like
is
the
that?
main one.
You were talking about it earlier, and I was like, I don't know what she's talking about.
So
but I'll ask her on the podcast.
Yeah. So we process everything so much and so deeply. And from an outside perspective, it can almost look like we're ruminating, but we're not. We process movies more deeply. That's why sometimes scary movies we can't do, because this is like so much stimulation and so much to process. And I need to have time to process, what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing. And processing, like for me, even like deciding what I want to eat. I'm like, oh, well, I could have this, or I could have this. This is more healthy, or this is, no, I want to, eat what I want. There's
my gosh, story of my life.
So much thinking, which is
thinking.
good, because when we finally get the time to process, we're usually right on. We have processed everything from every different angle.
The ins and outs. Okay, maybe this is a characteristic, but whenever I'm purchasing something, I review it on Google,
Yep.
on Amazon, on whatever it is, like 10 different review sites, and I read. It's just.
So I'm pregnant, and so you should see. It's taken me a month to make my registry, because I research everything I'm gonna buy, like everything I'm gonna put on there.
That makes so much sense now.
Yeah. That's the biggest part of being an HSP. And that's why that's why people who aren't need to understand that we need that. We need that time.
To feel good about your decision.
And it's usually a good decision.
Yeah.
When we get that time.
Yeah.
And if we don't, we get frantic and we get overstimulated if we don't get that time. Yeah, because that's just the way our brains work.
Yeah, I can see that being an issue, like you're talking about in relationships and like conflict, because some people are like ready to process something and you kind of need your own time to process it.
Yes.
Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's a day.
Right.
And somebody else has kind of already been through it once or twice.
Yes.
Good.
And that's why it can look like introversion, because introverts, they need that time to process internally. And, they're not as quick to spontaneous to do that. And so that's why some people can mix the two.
Yeah.
But that's the key, is the depth of processing. If you have that, you're probably an HSP. But the other ones O is overstimulation. So this is what people notice the most about us, is when we get overstimulated. And when we get overstimulated, it can look, many different things. For kids, it usually is like tantrums, or getting angry, crying. For adults, it's crying, tantrums, like same thing. As I'm like saying, I'm like, yeah.
Do we ever really evolve? That is the question.
But yeah, and like for me, I shut down. I'm like, oh, I can't do this. I shut down, procrastinate, avoid, if I'm not getting that time. So, yeah.
Yeah. Now, A characteristic is of HSP is also being conscientious, correct?
Yes.
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 So I may be thinking about myself in my process of understanding how I identify in some ways, but I didn't always know because of like hard work ethic and being conscientious that I would just push through. And I mean, and that led to
Yes.
burnout. Do you
Yes.
see that with clients that aren't aware?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Okay.
still do that.
Yeah.
Because I think there's different parts to that, and I think one part is we as HSPs try to keep up with, you know, a non-HSP society since they are the majority, 80%. But yeah, we are social justice warriors, and we're very conscientious, and yeah, that's just kind of how we are. So, and we do persevere and push through because we've had to
Yeah.
keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the E?
The E. So that's emotional responsiveness and empathy.
Okay.
So we have deep empathy, which is great, and it's really hard sometimes. Because, and this is why boundaries are so hard for HSPs. I call this the HSP dilemma, because we need boundaries, but it's hard for us to put up boundaries because when other people, how they respond to us putting up boundaries, if it's negative, we feel that too. So
I can so relate to that.
yes. So it's like, you know, do we sacrifice ourselves and not have to deal with other person's stuff and then not put up the boundary, or do we put up the boundary and then deal with the person's stuff?
Yeah. So either way, it like does not
It's a
feel
lose-lose
good.
situation.
Yes.
Yeah.
To an HSP, it can feel like that.
Yeah.
But just like, you know, we're almost teaching people how to treat you. It should get easier.
Yeah,
Once you
with
start,
time.
and if not, you know, then you learn, you question, is this someone I want in my life?
Yeah.
You know, it could get to that point if they're not listening, or if it doesn't get any easier.
Yeah.
Because toxic people are bad to other people, but toxic people are so bad for HSPs.
Yeah, because the lack of boundaries.
Yes.
Absolutely. I had a thought about the overstimulation
Yeah.
piece. So I just remember when I was my mid-20s, Julian was there with me, but we would go out to like bars and clubs and restaurants.
Were we wanting to bring that lifestyle back?
I hated it so much, and I would do it every other weekend or so.
Yeah.
But it was like I
Yeah.
would leave and I'd be like, my head is buzzing.
Yes.
Why do I do this?
Yeah.
Like I'm supposed
That's
to
how I feel about shopping.
Oh,
meet
yes.
friends and how am I ever gonna find somebody to marry?
I'm not going to meet my
do
love at the
this?
bar.
Yeah, shopping. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the
Just like a
lights,
lot.
the noise, and you know, I'm, you know, after I finish the does, but I'm a high sensation seeking HSP and an extroverted HSP. So I do like going out, but I need recovery after.
Yeah.
Because I'll leave, like you said.
Right.
So it's a fun balancing act.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so cool to know that about yourself and to know
Yeah.
like, okay, I need some of that. Like I am an extrovert,
Yes.
so I need that energy from other people. And I also need some downtime with
Yes.
that
Yep.
as well.
Yes.
Okay, is there another
Yes, so-
into the does? Okay, I
So
thought
the
we were
last
done.
one is the S.
Okay.
And that's awareness of subtleties.
Okay.
So we're very aware of our environment. Like I always know if my client is an HSP, if I move something in my office and they're the first to note, you know, oh, did you move that picture to the right 5 inches? You know, it's like, yeah, I did. And you're probably an HSP. So we're just very aware.
Not different from OCD.
Very different from OCD. Yes.
Is that
Just
picture
observe it.
crooked?
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Another
That's a
episode.
good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, something that I've learned about myself, and when I was living with my sister, we'd kind of get in little light wars because I would always want the lights to be dim. And I think I don't know, have you caught on to that with me yet?
No.
No? Oh, okay. But that's just, you know, I'm very aware of that in my environment.
Yes.
and also leads to overstimulation.
I think
so,
I like that too. So we're probably on the same page
okay.
with that.
Good.
Yeah.
Like a shower in the dark, like in the morning, I don't even turn lights on. Like I have to have a gradual transition to the day.
Yeah.
Like it's just amazing, I guess, when you look at, and not just to talk about myself, but like these examples to help people understand how the lifestyle needs to be different. And it's just, I mean, it impacts us all.
Yes,
Right?
definitely. It absolutely does. And I think that's why I always tell my clients, you have to be selfish as an HSP. Selfish, and it's not really selfish, but you absolutely, number one thing I work with my clients on is self-care. You have to take care of yourself. You have to put yourself first. Even if it looks weird to other people, like having the lights off, or I'm the same, I have to have the lights off too. So yeah, we might, it looks different than the majority of the population.
Yeah.
And actually I have something that kind of says the difference between an HSP's perspective and a non-HSP.
Okay.
Would either of you guys like to read it for me?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So the first one, these are two kids, and this is actually from one of my favorite books, which is Understanding the Highly Sensitive Child. So this is a great, it's really short. It's like 60 pages. So anyone who has a highly sensitive child, I would say get this book. So Catherine's the non-HSP and Arthur is the HSP, and they're in a diner.
Okay. Bringing out my
Role play. Yes.
middle school fear of reading in public.
That's why I asked someone to do it, because I hate reading out loud.
Okay.
We're practicing our voices.
Yeah. Catherine smells freshly brewed coffee. She sees a colorful poster on the wall. She tastes chocolate as she sips her milkshake. She feels the seat cushion, finds the fabric soft. She hears Mom talking, and in the background, a hum of conversation in the coffee machine. Julianne? Arthur.
Arthur smells freshly brewed coffee, cinnamon buns, cigarette smoke, bleach, sweat, and perfume. He sees a blue, orange, red, and yellow poster with pictures of 4 different types of bird information about the rainforest, printed in 2 different black typefaces in varying sizes. He tastes chocolate and milk and a hint of orange as he sips his milkshake. He feels the seat cushion and finds the fabric soft and bobbly and warm and a little itchy. He hears Mom talking and 20 other people talking, and a baby grumbling, and a lady humming, and the coffee machine hissing, and the dishwasher whirring, and ceramic cups clinking, and outside a dog barking and an engine revving.
Sounds overwhelming.
Yes.
Arthur's life.
Like, I'm tired just reading it.
Exactly.
I'm sweating.
Yes. So see how important it is that we take care of ourselves, because all of the data and information we are taking in as HSPs. And, you know, it makes sense that Arthur might get a little, like, grumpy at the end of that dinner, maybe. And if Mom or Dad doesn't know about the trait, it's like, what's wrong with my kid? Like, this other kid, his sister's fine, but, you know, Arthur's having a hard time. But he just needs some time and space to process what happened, and just needs some time to rest, you know, and be able to just talk about what's going on and not have it be weird.
Yeah.
But it can, I mean, just as you're reading, it's like, oh, as a therapist, if you, is this kid, you say have OCD? Is he, you know, you start to diagnose a little bit.
Yeah. And HSP is not a diagnosis.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Yeah,
I
it's
love
just a
that
trait.
about it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking from the lens of a non-HSP person, and
Yes.
and you know, kind of what you're alluding to, of like, okay, well, why can't they just function in the real world? So I think a different, I guess, a clarification is they can function. And, you know, we're not going to say everybody needs to be in the world just like us, right? I think kind of some sort of, in some ways, compromising. Yeah? So know yourself and what you need, right?
Yes.
I think that's important for both parties to, I guess,
Yeah,
know.
I think definitely, like, with it being 20% of the population, you're going to have a partner or a friend or a family member, coworker, an employee who is an HSP. Yeah, and like having that understanding of where they're coming from and what they need, and just be so helpful to be in relationship in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
And speaking of helpful understandings, perspectives, and tips, I know that there was a lot of requests for, okay, I'm an HSP, now what? Like, how do I function better on a day-to-day basis? What are some coping skills? Do you want to share some that you offer to clients and as well as your favorite?
Yeah, definitely. So there's so many, and every, different ones resonate with, different people. But I think, the first thing is to educate yourself more and as much as you can and get to know yourself. When I first found out I was an HSP, I really took that time to be journaling and reading and just really diving into all this new information and sharing it with people that I knew would be receptive. I would hold off on sharing it with people who you don't think are going to be receptive, because in the beginning, when you find out, you want positivity in that. So I didn't tell some people for a while, now I tell everybody.
Now you're here
I'm
on
like,
a podcast.
You're owning yourself.
Yes. But, meditation is so huge for HSPs. Meditation or hypnosis tapes or anything like that can bring your stimulation levels down, because that's overstimulation is the biggest I think one of the biggest challenges of being an HSP. So
like a deep inner quiet. Yeah.
We have to, mindfulness is huge. Taking care of ourselves is huge. Elaine is a big, she meditates, and that's been one of the things that has helped her as an HSP, so much. So
I feel like it helps me, and I haven't even thought about this from the context of being an HSP, but it helps me kind of create these boundaries, almost like mental boundaries around myself, to not let other people infiltrate them, or certain situations that would normally really ruffle my feathers, like really upset me.
Yes, definitely.
Too.
Yeah.
So
those are awesome too.
Yeah. Beth, what does your personal meditation practice look like?
So since I am a high sensation seeker, quiet meditation is hard for me. I have to usually have a guided, which I use different apps. But I also I like moving meditation, so yoga, walking, that kind of stuff is probably my favorite.
Yeah,
I love that. We don't talk about that a lot on our podcast. That you can meditate while
looks
walking
differently.
or doing yoga.
And it's honestly, just sometimes I just do a lot of breathing.
Yeah.
I just take, in between clients, I always do a breathing exercise. In between clients, I always do the energy cut cord. So I imagine a cord from their belly button to mine, and then I cut that cord. And I know it's kind of whatever, but I imagine them floating on a cloud and being this happy, and so I kind of
like these practices to kind of separate yourself.
Yeah, I love this idea of, I guess knowing yourself and refueling throughout the day, and protecting yourself. That seems especially important for an HSP.
Yeah.
So
it's the breaks in the day that makes, and my business partner for the Highly Sensitive Therapist Retreat, she actually introduced me to taking those 5-minute breaks a couple times a day. And I was like, how is 5 minutes going to really help that? And as a high sensation seeker, I have a harder time slowing down. I've really had to work on that. And I do that now, and it is a huge help. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's awesome
Create
stuff.
that space.
Yes, definitely.
For sure.
And, some other great tips that have really helped me is for traveling, I need a day before and a day after. So if I go to a conference or something, I won't see clients the day before or the day after. Traveling, I do the same. I always have to have one day a week where I just do nothing. I stay in my pajamas.
Blocking off your schedule. Kind of, Brene Brown calls it, she blocks off her schedule for white noise time.
Yes.
Puts it in her calendar.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I remember hearing that Elaine saying, if you can, as an HSP, if you can have one day a week where you do nothing. And I'm like, how? I almost got mad. I was like, what? How did people do that?
Why are you making me do this?
I still don't know how to do that. I'm just saying.
It is a huge practice, but once, and as an extrovert, I like to be around people. So at first it was hard, but now I love being alone. I love having my day by myself to do nothing. It's like Netflix and just, yeah. So.
Well, this question comes to mind that, okay, I guess for people to get on board with this, if what you're doing isn't working and you're feeling constantly drained and overstimulated, can you be willing to try something different?
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
And, just, okay, let's see if 1 minute throughout the day, like, I think for those that, especially interfacing email and people, like if you could put it in your phone, reminders on the hour, like, okay, I'm just going to literally pause whatever I'm doing unless I'm in the conversation. and
Hold
just
on. Hold on.
One second. We're about to hit the hour. Right? But yeah, like, okay, see what the difference could be. It sounds like that for you. Like you didn't think that was possible, and now you realize that's what you really needed.
Yeah, it seems super simple.
Yeah.
But very powerful and effective.
Yes.
Too.
Yeah. And I think environment, if I could, say one tip for HSPs, environment is huge for us. Environment affects us in so many ways. So that's job, in your relationship, in your home. Having and changing your environment to suit you is huge. So I don't think I could be anything else but a therapist in private practice. I'll just be honest, I've had a crap ton of jobs because none of them, were accommodating or even just at all supportive to my trait. Yeah. And I think HSPs really struggle with that because it's just work environment they don't see that.
What did that look like for you, Beth?
Yeah. So it's been hard having to, because I'd find a job, start, and then I would just be so overwhelmed and so overstimulated. And then before I knew I was an HSP, I was like, what, I have that fundamental belief, which a lot of HSPs have it, is like, what's wrong with me?
Yeah.
What's going on? What's wrong with me?
And why can't I do this job?
Yeah. Why can other people do this, but I can't?
Yeah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with you. It's just, you need different things. And you can make your life, it sounds so simple. I say this with, a grain of salt. Like it took time, but you can make your life be accommodating to your trait. Yeah. You really can.
Yeah. I had a medical director that I worked for with the environment that was not, suited for me. But she always said, know your temperament. Know your temperament.
Yeah.
And then don't apologize for it. Right?
I love that.
I think if I could just chime in on something that came to mind was, if you can honor yourself and give yourself permission that making changes for you will allow you to be a quality employee or entrepreneur or, in your relationship, and understand that if your environment or your lifestyle looks different, there's nothing wrong with that. It allows you to be your best you.
Yes.
Yeah, letting go of the shame that I have to do something differently and that's bad or wrong. But yeah, really honoring it.
And too, if you can't have the job that you want right now as a highly sensitive person, have it be your hobby, have it be something, because as HSPs, we need to be in something that is connected to our passion. We have to have meaning in our jobs. Otherwise, it just drains us so much. So, there's a lot of HSPs that I know that it's not their job, but it's their hobby. Yeah. Or they volunteer, or, that's what they're doing for right now. And they still get to be a part of that. So, yeah.
I love that little tip is find your purpose and meaning, and whether it's in your job or not.
Yeah. Especially for HSPs. Huh?
Yes. Yeah. I think that's for everybody, but especially for HSPs.
Do we have time to talk about this high sensation seeker?
Yeah. Let's hear about it.
We have, like 5 minutes.
Okay. So I wanted just to touch on that. So as an extroverted HSP, it was harder for me to find out that I was a HSP, because I did want that time with people, and I did have that side. And then there's even more of a, extroverted side, or high sensation seeking part. And there's a test on Elaine's website for this as well. But a high sensation seeker is basically what I say is the opposite of an HSP. So we love you want that stimulation. And, you know, I love roller coasters, bungee jumping, and traveling and going to new places and all of that. And, you know, as an HSP, the HSP side of me is like, ooh, well, let's be careful about how we do this. And I got to process and figure this out first. So if you are both, it can almost feel like what Elaine says is a foot on the gas and a foot on the brake at the same time.
That's a perfect description.
Yes.
Like, I know what that feels like.
Yes.
You know?
And it's constantly like giving this side of me, you know, what it needs, and then giving this other side of me what it needs. And so when I found out it was an HSP, I gave the HSP side a lot of, like, almost a year and a half. The high sensation seeking part of me kind of had to take a little backseat for a little bit, because the high sensation seeking part usually is okay and accepted in the culture, in the community.
Yeah, it's so much cooler when you're doing stuff.
Yeah. Like,
Like your Instagram life is so much better. Right.
Exactly. But so, yeah, there's a test. I'd say if you're like, I'm not sure if I'm an HSP because I like to do this and that, well, you still might be. So just, you know, take those tests. And
how do you balance both of those now?
Yes.
Because you kind of put the sensitive side of you first, and now it seems like you have both back.
Yes. So I, you know, and not so much right now since I'm pregnant, but I do like, you know, I love going to concerts, going to rock concerts. I'll be the one in the mosh pit moshing, and that's just my thing. Yeah. So, you know, I'll give that side that night, and then the next day I'll have the recovery for the HSP and the processing time. If you're a high sensation seeker and an HSP, you're going to need some processing time after, you know, you go to California for a week and you go on all these adventures, and, you know, so
yeah, giving yourself time to process it afterwards. Yeah,
definitely.
It's big.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
I love this. Like, in watching that documentary, she described, or one of the girls who was an HSP was like, now I feel like I have a superpower. Like, at first I was ashamed of it and felt like something's wrong with me. And now I feel like I have a superpower. Like, I can read other people. Like, I have this awareness that not everybody else has. So I loved that. I thought that that's a cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
It is, and it is a superpower.
It's a superpower.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think about, you know, the emotions, and of course, when the emotions that we experience are intense and draining, but I forget about the emotions that we get to experience on a whole nother level, and it's like a natural high.
Yeah, we don't need drugs.
Yeah. No, I don't need drugs. I mean, I can't tell you, like, when I can get to a place of gratitude, I can so easily.
Julian cries.
I cry.
So much. I love it. It's so sweet.
And I mean, there's just such a rich experience when sober, and being able to experience something so high and so high.
I mean, just sitting there taking in nature, like, if you're looking at, I mean,
cry,
we will, like, just bask in that and just take it in, and we get to experience that as an HSP. Not that non-HSPs can't experience that, but we have this connection that is, you can't even describe. It's so powerful. Yeah.
Is that something that's also helpful for HSPs to get out in nature?
Absolutely. 100%. Getting out in nature, being absolutely.
Yeah. And I would think too, just like connecting to other people who like also can have that experience with you.
Yeah, and that is another thing I tell my clients. If you can get around other HSPs so you can feel normal for the first time in your life, that's huge. That is so huge. However you need to do that.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we don't live in California where there's so many HSP communities and things like that. But there is a meetup group that is for HSPs and empaths. And I'm blanking on it. What's it called right now? But
We'll
I think Perceptive Souls, I think. But
okay.
yeah.
We'll figure it out.
And before you share some more resources and opportunities for our listeners who are interested, we do want to be able to take a quick moment to appreciate our sponsor, Therapy Space, that has been loyal to us. Yes, we haven't haven't forgotten about you, and they're doing so well. There's such a need for being able to have flexible sort of office space for mental health professionals here in Dallas that they're looking into opening a second location.
Yeah. They're definitely like filling up, but they're going to open another space and have more spaces, but they're just so cool, hip, contemporary, and you can have a flexible lease with them, so you can rent out if you're just starting private practice. You can rent out 1 day a week or 5 days a week if you're experienced practitioner and you don't want all the burden of having a private practice, because it can be a lot.
Yeah.
They have
Or
your
if
tissues.
you're a highly sensitive therapist and you want to work
There we
part-time
go.
and be cool with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they have all the things like tissues and water and coffee and the waiting room,
It's so
Wi-Fi.
calm. Yeah, it's a very supportive environment for an HSP therapist. Yeah, so thank you, Therapy Space.
Yes.
But okay, so talking more about resources and things for our listeners.
Yes. So a couple books, and there's so many, but I would definitely, for any therapist, especially highly sensitive therapists, or people who want to work with highly sensitive people, the Psychotherapy and the Highly Sensitive Person by Elaine Aron is a must. It's my Bible. It's awesome. It talks about all the research studies and everything in detail about the highly sensitive person and working with them in therapy. And then for non-therapists, the highly sensitive person, in career, if you're struggling with your career and jobs, that's a really good one. If you're struggling as a highly sensitive person in your relationships, in your romantic relationships, there's the highly sensitive person in love.
I need that one.
That one's awesome.
We all need that one.
Yes.
I feel like.
It's one of her best ones. And these are all by Elaine Aron, by the way. And then if you have a highly sensitive child, the highly sensitive child is really good.
I love that. Oh my gosh.
And I read it, and it was awesome for me to read it and look back at myself as a highly sensitive child.
Yeah.
It was hard. It was not an easy read. But
I almost feel like reparenting, like read it as your adult self and how you need to care for yourself now in a way, and for your kids too.
Yes.
If you have this, I don't have kids, so.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so a lot of books.
Yes.
And where can people find you
Yes.
and get in contact with you?
So, I just moved practices physically, so I don't have a website as of right now, but my email is bdawsoncounseling@gmail.com, so feel free to email me. And then also I mentioned my business partner, April Snow, and I have a retreat for highly sensitive therapists, which Julian has been to and was a speaker at.
In California.
Yes.
Yes, it was,
So our
wonderful.
next one, I won't be there because I'll be giving birth.
Mom duties.
But and I'm not 100% on the dates, but it's on our website, which is hstretreat.com, and it will be on the East Coast this time. So we're trying to go to West Coast, East Coast, and then we'll have one hopefully in Austin in February or March.
Oh, wow.
So yeah.
Sign me up.
Yes.
Will it be like in a cool nature spot again?
Yes, I think so. Oh, especially the one on the East Coast.
Okay.
Yes.
No, but
It'll be in a. And I'm sorry, April. It's just gonna kill me. I'm blanking on the location, but it is. I'm pretty sure it's a yoga place.
Okay.
So
Cool. That's perfect for
Yeah.
HSPs.
yeah,
Yeah.
Very
You
cool.
say, chalk it up to pregnancy brain.
yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely is real.
And it is also Friday afternoon. Right.
Yeah.
And also we can be overstimulated by all the lights in the studio right now.
So thank you so much for
Yeah.
coming on and sharing this. I
course.
feel like it's going to be so helpful for so many people just to identify this trait in themselves and like look into it a little bit more. So yeah. Any last words you want to share with our listeners? Do you say?
Just if you're an HSP who's struggling out there and people do not get you, you don't feel like people get you, you feel like something's wrong with you, and I might cry, just know that there is nothing wrong with you, and this is a trait and it is not a diagnosis. It's nothing wrong with you. This is a gift, and with time you'll see that. Not always at first do you see that, but you will see that. honor and respect yourself. And yeah, take time to get to know yourself as a highly sensitive person. And yeah.
Oh,
that.
all the feels
you.
here. All the feels. Yeah,
Cool.
so much love and gratitude for you, Beth. Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.